Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I know this is in the middle of the week, and we normally don't celebrate chatting unless it's Friday, but here we are today because did y'all know today was one of those days where everything just dropped. Like, and I was able to grab two authors that came to chat with us. And so, Denise, I want to tell you congratulations on your release of this Homicide at Vincent Vineyard. And
Thank
I've been
you.
talking about this. I've been saying, who out there killing people in the vineyards? Don't be
Yeah.
messing up my wine. So, right? So, thank you so much for joining me today at the book bar. And you have got to come back again and again and again.
And I
So,
will.
introduce yourself to people who may not know who you are yet.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having me. Before we start, congratulations to you, Promoter of the Year. How
Oh,
honored
thank
am I to be
you.
here with you? So, thank you for doing this for your platform, your passion for books. When Miss
Yeah.
Bev Jenkins referred to you by your name, all the way in the back of the room, I said, okay, Midnight Ace is the business. So, thank you for having me and congratulations to you. So,
I appreciate that. And I love me some Bev, as I'm sure you do too.
yes, very much so. So, as for me, my name is Denise in Wheatley, and like you, I hail from Chicago. So, and
Hmm.
we're already in the it's not even winter yet, but we're already in the midst of the cold. So, but I'm an author. My first book came out in 2004 with Simon and Schuster. I Wish I Never Met You, and ever since then, I've been writing and ghostwriting, romance, all types of romance. People don't know I've done some paranormal. I've done did a lot of steamy back in the day. We're going to get back to that with my next release. I have to say about that one. But in between, I'm writing
I was gonna
suspense.
tell you,
Yeah. So in between, done some suspense, done some sweet stuff, some things that are leaning toward women's fiction, but there's always romance. I love romance. I've been obsessed with books since I was very little before I could read or write. And my mom would read to me. So she started it all. I would sneak her books off her shelves. So I was reading really inappropriate stuff at an early age. So, but I've just been a romance fan for years. So that the seed was embedded very early on. As the years went on, I just, went from reading to writing my own books. Yeah.
right? And they say I remember somebody told me once. It says most authors are was readers before they were authors, so that's where they
Definitely.
start.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to say hello to a couple people who joining us now. Hello there, Caitlin. It's so nice to see you out there. Thank you for joining. Hey there, Miss Ola. It's been a minute since we have done this. I don't think you were on the last chat we had. So welcome. And Mama Tony, you know what? A chat is always good when Mama Tony is hopping up in there.
Yes.
Okay, so Denise.
Yes.
All right. So we're gonna talk about homicide at Vincent Vineyard. And for those of you all who don't know, this released today. So again, happy release day. But I
Thank
want to
you.
get into before we get into talking about the book, I
Hmm.
wanted to ask you a few things about you. Okay, so you got a lot going on. You talked about the ghostwriting. I also seen that you do screenplays and stuff like that. But one of the earlier books that you caught my eye with was your contemporary ones, and like She Gets What She Deserves. That was like a trilogy or
Hmm.
whatever.
Hmm.
And so then I thought that was who you were. And then you just blasted out the door with all of this, romantic suspense. And I mean, when we talk about romantic suspense, we're not talking about like really, it's crime thrillers is basically
Hmm.
kind of what you're writing. So when you switch from that to that, and then you also change like the publishing company is different too. So
Hmm.
what was it like for you to transition into that contemporary romance to what we call romantic suspense, but it's really just crime thrillers? So
Right.
how was that transition like for you?
Well, for me, I've always loved contemporary romance. I think that was no brainer when it came to writing. I've always enjoyed telling those types of stories. But one thing people didn't know about me, I love true crime. It is like an obsession. So I was watching it so much, and I thought,
Mhm.
it would be really great if I could incorporate this into my writing because I just loved it. But I also really love romance. So it was just like the perfect marriage,
Mhm.
realizing, wait a minute, why am I not writing romantic suspense? I can kind of incorporate the crime that I want to start to explore with, with the romance I love to write. It may have been 2019 is when I decided, you know what, I'm going to take a stab at this. And so, yeah. And then I've written for, multiple publishing companies over the years. Harlequin's a dream. Everybody wants to, well, I won't say everybody, but many people would like to be at Harlequin. I love writing for them. And intrigue is such a great line. So I feel like it would be such a good fit for me. So I just went for it. I said, let me see if I can write something that would be appropriate for that line. And it's just been, I haven't looked back. I'll have my 10th book out with Harlequin next year. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say too, you've been really rocking with them hard. Now, okay, so you write, you got this appetite for this, this romance and then this suspense,
Mm-hmm.
the true crime. So did
Mm-hmm.
you write the book and then entertain intrigue, or did intrigue come to you and then you wrote the story?
I actually pitched a few ideas to Intrigue. They were all different ideas. And Cold Case True Crime was the one that really
Mhm.
resonated because, we've got, with the number of intrigue writers there. And then if you look at the market, a lot of people are writing romantic suspense and thriller. So you really have to kind of find a niche and how you'll fit in there. So I wanted to try some different things and I pitched a few ideas and then we went from there and I wrote the book based on that.
Right. And now the first one was Cold Case, right? Was
Mm-hmm.
that your first one with
Right.
intrigue?
Yeah.
And that was written with other writers,
That
right?
one, you know what? They may have put that one in some type of series. That one book I
Hmm.
wrote, that one wasn't teamed up with anybody else's, but I think that one might have ended up in a cold case. It wasn't when I first wrote it, but I think they realized they had some other cold case stories moving in that direction. So I think they added it after I had written mine because it
Hmm.
kind of fit into what some of the other books
Okay.
some of the authors had
Yeah,
written.
because I think when I stumbled on it, it was part
Mhm.
of a series, and I know
Okay.
that they are notorious for writing, the series
Right,
where it's multiple authors in that. And then
right.
now when you come back with this one, the Homicide and Vincent Vineyard is part of a trilogy so far. Now, is Vincent this one the last one in that particular trilogy?
That's the last one.
Okay, so in that, for those of you all who are not aware and you just picked up this book, these can be read as a reader. I'm going to say these can be read as a standalone, but she has, I think you have Danger in the Nevada Desert.
Right.
Then what was the other? It's
The
two
heart
other
shaped
ones.
murders. Yeah, heart
Okay, the
shaped
heart.
murders was first. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. And then Danger Nevada Desert was the second one in that in the trilogy.
Okay, so now in the heart shaped murders, there was a character in there called her last name was Vincent. And I was wondering, like, is she any relation to any of these Vincents here in
You
this
know
in
what?
this book?
She isn't. No, she isn't. That was just a coincidence.
Yeah, so I thought, oh my Lord, there's another one out there. I wonder if she because
That was
she
a
was
total
a
coincidence.
okay, so because she was a journalist, and that was just something I had just picked up on that, and I was like, okay, it's this one here. But now with
Yeah.
this series here, the ones that mentioned, they kind of rotate the characters. There's a family of I guess what do you want to call? I want to
Law
call them
enforcement.
like yeah, law enforcement. Thank you. So yeah, so it's a family of law enforcement, and they follow each other through this series here. And so their dad, it starts with their dad, and then it's two sons, and then they have a daughter or sister too that does something
Right.
too. She's a forensic or something like
Mhm.
that.
Right.
Now, when you wrote this series, was that your intention to have a family of law enforcement, and you would just write their stories accordingly?
It was because I'd never done this was the first series I did for suspense. So I felt the best way to parlay a series would be maybe do it with an entire family. So the father was the chief, and then the daughter Lena is a forensic scientist, and then the two sons, you see them, they're police officers, and they kind of move along in
Mhm.
their careers as the books go on. So that was
Yeah.
fun though, and then intertwining kind of things that happen in each book with one another.
Yeah, you kind of gave me the best of both worlds in this because it was a family,
Mhm.
and so I love that. And they were unique because they were all in law enforcement and they did certain things. But then you gave me like my little wine thing in here, and so let's get to the homicide at Vincent Vineyard.
Mhm.
So again, if y'all heard me talking about this prior to its release, and I when I saw the title, I said, "Who in the world is out there killing and messing up some good wine grapes out there, right?"
Yes.
So little did I know when I wrote this story that it was going to be a whole family of just chaos.
Yeah.
And I've read a few other books where the storyline centers around the wine vineyard or some kind of wine, and it seems like that is a theme where there is a lot of secrets, and there's a lot of vengeance going on, whether it's between two families or two family members or two wineries or whatever. But in this one right here, I want to say it starts off with a murder, of course, right? And I
Hmm.
think the person who gets, and I'm gonna try, guys, you know me, I'm bad, but I'm gonna try to stay away from any spoilers because I want you all to soak this in for yourself. So it starts off with a murder, and I feel like the person who was murdered in here, besides the law enforcement, I think is the only sane one in here. Because when I tell you all, these characters were something else. And so, Denise,
Yes.
writing these characters, and when I see characters that are really strange, and then I know the author that's writing them, I have to ask the question, what was
Mhm.
going on in your head when you were writing these characters?
Well, well, in addition to reading, I love movies, and if you think about it, you want to have like a variety of characters, you know.
Hmm.
So I feel like they have to run the gamut, and you want to keep readers entertained, right? So I always
Oh,
like to
yeah.
try and bring something wild to the story, and what better way to do it than this family? And then that also kind of makes it more complicated in when you're trying to figure out who the killer is, because you see so many traits in everybody that
Yeah.
kind of shows it could be this person. So I think those little quirks, and I mean, like the welcome to the jungle scene at the casino, that was just when the couple came in and the outfits, it was outrageous. But you know, I love
Oh
Hollywood
my God.
too, right? So wasn't that such a Hollywood moment? You
It
know,
was. It was. And I have to say, too, added to that was the brother, Tyler. He was
yeah,
just as eccentric as it comes.
yeah.
And his wife, Jada,
Hmm.
she was, I didn't really know, I couldn't get a good groove of her at first. You know what I'm saying? Because it sounded
Right.
like she was, initially, I thought, okay, she's really into her husband. And
Hmm.
then I thought later on, oh, she's just into her husband's money.
Hmm.
But then I really just thought she was just a lost soul. She was just like a puppet on a
Hmm.
string, and she just didn't know, she just didn't know any better.
Yeah.
But then, and Tyler and then the other brother, Greer, was like night and day,
Hmm.
you know. And then
Yeah.
I was gonna, as you wrote the story in such a fashion where you're right, you really don't know who the killer is until you really know who the killer is,
Hmm.
because everybody was a suspect, and everybody had they were some strange characters, that family was.
Yeah.
And so you just didn't know. um and there was one point in there where I thought, it's, Greer, I'm rooting for him, it's gonna be him, because Tyler, right away, I thought he was, he was, something was wrong with him, like,
Yeah.
like, okay, you know what I mean. But then Greer, he seemed normal
Yeah.
until he
Until he
didn't.
wasn't. Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah. So now when you wrote those two characters, obviously, you were writing the story in such a way where the reader, would be entertained, and you would carry us all the way through the story. Um, but did you know, like when you first started the story, did you know who was going to be it, or did it form as you wrote the story?
I knew who it would be.
Okay.
I knew. I knew who it
Okay.
would be. Yeah.
And so how difficult was it for you to write the substance of those characters?
I think so. What I do when I write books, I always write a really solid, thorough proposal. So all of those thoughts are poured into the project before I even start writing.
Okay.
So, and of course, characters do continue to develop as you write. But
Mhm.
I think in the beginning, I've kind of got a core idea of who I want these people to be, what I want them to be like. And with Greer, actually, though, with Greer, because as you talk about his evolution throughout the book,
Mhm.
think
Mhm.
he ended up evolving a little bit stronger than I initially had it
Mhm.
written, just because as he moved further into kind of looking like a suspect, because sometimes my characters just go off the page and they do their own thing, and I'm just writing it.
Mhm.
And that kind of happened with him because he had that meltdown. Greer had I don't want to give too much away either, but he
Yeah.
had this meltdown, and that was kind of surprised. I'm like, why is Greer acting like this? But I mean, you think about children who are born into money, born into the business. They were born into this, so they
Mhm.
really didn't have to work for it. We see Greer working for it, but it's almost like, as the story went on, he started to kind of lose reality because he was so busy competing with his brother. So he lost sight of
Mhm.
reality. He was losing respect because you saw how he's such a meek guy at first. So he
Mhm.
realizes being meek, he's not winning. So then he starts to change and evolve and turn into this different person. So I think as the story went on, that kind of helped me to build more traits, more quirks with these characters and really make them stand out a little bit more.
Yeah. Oh, see, and yeah, that was me, Mama Tony. I
Yeah.
I I started out thinking that I knew who it was even when I first read the book. I said, oh, it's probably going to be this person, right? But then I don't know. I think the most surprising character in here, well, the actual person who did the killing was surprising. But I think before I just let the reins go and just have the story just let it do what it do, it was
Mhm.
Greer the most surprising character to me. But then
Mhm.
after him, and he had his little, 15 minutes of fame, I was like, I'm done. I can't even follow this anymore. And so I wanted to pick up the phone and say, Denise, what was these characters doing to you when you were writing this book? Because man, they took us on a journey. They took us on a journey.
Yeah. It
And
was it was a wild ride. But you know what? If you think about, like, when you look at some true crime stories, when you read about it or look at the real true crime, isn't that what happens? Because Dateline
yeah,
is one of my
yeah.
favorite shows. And it always starts off that way. And it makes you think one thing, they give you a certain impression of somebody, and then boom, it's not them. And
Hmm.
then you continue on. So I love that ride when I take that. So that's what I love to do with readers too. If I can write that and readers feel that ride and they think they have it figured out, but then something else happens and then it wasn't quite what they thought. I love that. I think that's so much fun.
All right. So in writing this story, and we talk about, we talk about these characters and how they develop. What was one of the most difficult characters for you to write in here?
You know what? I think Greer was difficult because he seemed like such a good guy in the beginning, but
Hmm.
then there was a competition between him and Tyler. So with Tyler, it was easy to make him
Hmm.
him be who he was. With Greer,
Hmm.
he had to kind of evolve into something that started to look a little bit different than what we thought he'd be from the start. But honestly, Ella, because we won't talk about it too much, but Ella and her secret, Ella had that secret. So
Yeah.
with that,
Yeah. Yeah.
keeping that hidden, not really talking about it, that was kind of, I had to, handle that delicately because I didn't want to really hint around at anything. So writing that part, that was a bit challenging as well, making sure I stayed on course, didn't reveal too much. So that was another part of it that I
Hmm.
wanted to make sure I did the right way.
So was Greer the only character that really just kind of pulled the reins a little bit as you were writing them, or did the other ones just do what you wanted them to do?
Well, Jada too, because Jada got a little bit complicated as well, because she had her
Yeah.
little, she had her, I don't want to
Hmm.
give away too much, but so I had to handle her, because I don't want readers to dislike her, but she's with this, she's Tyler's wife, and they kind of go hand in hand with the outrageous outfits and the behavior and the wild spending. And so, but then you realize that she's not really what you thought she was either. So you start to see some different sides of her,
Yeah.
some not
Yeah.
always good, but she's got another side to her as well. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think those characters in a story, they really did the story justice because again, see, here's another one. Veronica was like, she was surprised because she thought she knew. I mean, you wrote it in such a way where in the beginning, if you read true crimes, crime stories, you always just think because if you read them all the time, that's your thing. You want to find out who it is.
right.
And so people in this particular one, you gave us like an array of suspects like right off the bat, and they were good suspects, like no question about it. until
Yeah.
you got in it, and then you were just like, wow. So you did a great story with that, and moving it along and everything.
Thank you.
So I appreciate that. So let's go back a little bit to you. I'm just curious, and maybe everybody else is too. Um, the ghostwriting. So you do ghostwriting, and you can just talk about it as much as you can talk about it. But how did you get involved with that? Is
You
that
know,
just something that came to you?
I originally started doing that. So when I was working full time, I didn't have a lot of time on my hands to
Hmm.
write. I didn't want to stop writing altogether. And I
Okay.
wasn't ready for big projects. So I
Hmm.
just taking on those little consulting jobs every now and again kind of kept me moving and kept me fulfilled in writing until I was ready to come back out and kind of, put my name on things again. So I actually just went online. I think it was called Odesk back
Hmm.
when I was doing that. It was some years ago. And I would take on projects that way. And I actually did it through different publishing companies. So it wasn't with an individual. So I did work with individual companies. And, they tell you just sign up for everything and see what comes back. I signed up for everything and got everything. So I really burned myself out with
Oh
the
wow.
ghostwriting. But the good news was that kind of pulled me back into getting back to my own books and writing with my name on things. Because, going through different phases in life, I really got into film for a minute. I've done a screenplay for I Wish Never Met You. That was at some production companies over time, and that was really my focus. So when things didn't pan out with that, I kind of said, you know what, let me get back to the basics and get back to the book writing.
Hmm.
So that's what kind of pulled in the reins and brought me back in that other direction.
Okay. What kind of advice would you give somebody who's inspired to become a ghostwriter?
I would say start doing the online research because that's where it all started, and just go
Mhm.
for it. If you see jobs that are available and they're looking for someone, because you never know what you might get. So again, Elance was, I think, the name of the company originally. I think it's Odesk now. I'm not sure if they're still in
Mhm.
existence, but that would be a great place to start if they are, because you could just go and take smaller jobs if you want. Start off small if you feel like that's where you need to be, or you can take it bigger and write full books. But at least, if you want to do like a short story, a novella, just to get your feet wet, just put yourself out there.
Okay. Okay. And so I'm assuming that when you wrote that, you wrote a lot of different genres, right?
I did. It was mostly
So
romance. I did some steam too, but yeah, it was all
okay.
romance related. Yeah.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. So now, like again, now, is there any other thing that you would want to write other than like your contemporary? We know you did that, and then now your true crimes. Is there anything else, any other genre that you would be interested in writing?
You know what? I would maybe go in the direction, maybe something psychological, like a
Mm,
psychological thriller, maybe something along those lines. So, yeah,
I can see you doing that.
yeah,
I can see you doing that.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so psychological. Now, when you're doing romance, I know a lot of authors, well, not a lot, but some of them always say that they have an issue with writing the steam.
Hmm.
Um, so I have a two-part question for you. So number one, do you have do you have that issue with it in writing the steam? And what story is, I guess what I'm saying is like when does it apply to you? So like in this story, the romantic suspense kind of things, it was not real steamy, but when does that steamy stuff apply to what kind of story do you think?
Well, so with intrigue, that's a low steam line. So we're not even allowed to put a lot of steam in
Mhm.
those books. I don't know if you've noticed, but every book I try and sneak more and more in. And I
Yeah.
always wait to see if my editor is going to let me get away with it. And every time I have, because I did more steam in the beginning and not anything too hot and heavy, but I had to take it out. I think I went a little bit too far. But as I've written more, I'm putting it back in, and nobody's telling me to stop. So I'm just going to, because I think readers like that. Well, not everybody. Everybody has their own thing, but a lot of them do. So, but even with, I think with some suspense, with some thrillers, sometimes you're more focused on the plot of the crime versus the
Hmm.
romance. So that's a fine line. But I think with other types, like, with the contemporary, with my medical book, the medical book I have coming out, there's steam. So, and yours will be in the mail Thursday.
Yeah.
So you'll be getting that one soon.
All right, honey, I'm ready. I am ready for that. And listen, so I know, like I noticed, I think most of us readers, we know because we have authors that's on our list that are hybrid authors, and so we
Mhm.
notice the difference between when you're writing for a traditional publisher
Right.
versus when you're writing for yourself. We can tell the difference, and so we kind
Mm.
of know, that. And romantic suspense to me, like you said, it's really focused more on the suspense than it is the romance, but it just kind of complement each other. So
Right.
I just didn't know, like, for like, do you have an issue with writing, steamy romance? Obviously you don't.
No.
And it doesn't apply, it applies more to that set of stuff. So we'll see what's coming out with the medical romance. We're going to
Right.
see a difference. We're going to see a shift in your writing from what we
Yes.
used to seeing.
Yes,
Talk a little
definitely.
bit about that. What drew you from, the deserts of Nevada to the vineyards over here in California to now you're in a hospital or something like that?
And the hospital's in Nevada. Let me just throw that in. It's in Las. This one's in Las
Oh,
Vegas
okay.
too. So if you can't tell, I love the West Coast. I love the West Coast. So in my head, I'm in Los Angeles right now. Um,
Okay.
but so you, as you know, Harlequin has a lot of different lines, and the editors will
Mhm.
encourage you to write across lines if you want, if you have different interests. So that is fun for me. That's one thing that I love about Harlequin, that you have an opportunity to write so many different types of romance stories. So, and my father was sick, and he passed away. But when he was ill, he had congestive heart failure. He ended up getting lung cancer, and I was just his number one advocate. And I spent so much time in hospitals with him, talking to the doctors and so forth, to the point where, I mean, really, I thought I went to medical school. I was all beside myself. So, and now with my mom,
Mhm.
we're kind of going through the same things with some issues she's having. So I realized, and then I'm studying every medication they give my parents, or procedure they have to have. I'm studying everything. I've developed relationships with the doctors. So I think that's kind of what started to pull me into that. And then when I saw Harlequin has, this line with medical romance, I said, well, you know what? I can see myself doing that. And I think sometimes you can burn out on certain genres, and I don't know if your readers might burn out on
Yeah.
those too. But so I wanted to do something a little bit different, to give myself a different type of challenge, and then give readers a different side of me too. So it came at a perfect time too, because I just been writing one intrigue after another. And while I still love that, I think I wanted to try and do something a little bit different, just to freshen it up some. So, and I'll tell you, I had a ton of
Mhm.
fun. There's some, and with the medical, I don't know, have you ever
Yeah.
read one of the medical romance books?
Yes. Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
they get
Yeah.
really heavy into the medical scenes. So that was a
Yeah.
challenge, but I really enjoyed writing it. And I mean, now I feel like I can go somewhere and perform a surgery. You can't tell me otherwise at this point. So, but
Yeah.
I
So,
enjoyed that. Mhm.
mhm. No, I was going to say some of the medical stuff they don't get into detail about it, but I'm going to appreciate it because that's what I'm in. But
Okay.
I wanted to just go a little bit off topic and just tell you that one that I'm sorry to hear about your dad, and
Thank you.
one of the things that you're doing in the hospital is being the advocate is the best thing that you can do for them, because so many
Okay.
times people don't, they older people, they like the independence, and sometimes they
Hmm.
don't always grab a family member to go with them. And sometimes, even though medical people are supposed to bring it down to like a second and third grade level so people can understand, we go too fast and we just go with
Yeah.
what we know.
Right.
They leave there and they don't even know what the discharge instructions are.
Right.
Medications, so many times people have come in because medications they taken too much or not enough. So
Right.
what you're doing is the best thing you can do for your family members. So I applaud you for doing that.
You.
Um, but like in the medical romance that I've seen it from a spectrum of just kind of a little bit of doctor talk and a whole lot of drama,
Hmm.
which is what we're typical like seeing. But for me, I would love to see some of the technical terms, in that they have in it, because I think I can appreciate that. Now somebody else might not want to, but I think we
Hmm.
learn in that way. So I'm looking forward to you starting this. And how many books is it going to be?
So far I've done one. And then, I've got so many others in the mix. So I'm going to
Mhm.
see where I end up with everything else down the line. We'll have to talk offline about some of the stuff I've got coming up. But with that one is one so far, and then
Okay.
we'll see where we go. Yeah.
Okay. Because I can tell you about some things that you can you can put in there,
I love
really, to keep the storyline going.
it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So now, okay, so let me go. Let's shift back. I had this whole list of stuff that I was going to ask you, but then me, I'll never stay on topic because I be trying to get in there. I got to tell the readers, about the author, what you're reading, or whatever. But one question I do want to make sure that I ask before we go, since you're new to the book bar and maybe new to some of my followers, if they are
Mhm.
just starting to read Denise in Wheatley, where would you suggest they start?
Well, let's see. So, if they enjoy Christmas, I've got Christmas in Full Bloom and Love at the Icicle Cafe, which, those are two of my favorites because, I love the
Mhm,
holidays. And so
mhm.
those are pretty sweet. If you like the Hallmark type movies, things like that, I think that would be a good one. I've got
Yeah.
She Gets What She Wants, which is the first book in my Fearless Fairy Tale series. Um, the tagline for that one was, what was it? Something about conquering. I can't remember anything. She wants to conquer Hollywood, so she does something like that. But it's about a
Yeah.
small town girl from Indiana gets her heart broken, and she has nothing to lose, so she goes off to LA to see if she can pursue her dreams and make something happen for herself. And you see her transform amidst all the drama that goes along the
Mhm.
way. So if that sounds like your thing, and then I would say, one of my favorite intrigues that I wrote is Backcountry Cover Up, because that one is about pyramid schemes. And with us
Mhm.
being from Chicago, Chicago, do you
Right,
remember that period? Chicago was so big on pyramid schemes.
yes, yes, and
So,
you know what? We probably don't know about it, but it's probably still going on.
oh, it
It's
is.
so much other stuff going on we can't keep up.
Yeah,
Um,
it is.
and also too for the backcountry, too. I just wanted to mention this, for you guys who are on here now, and I keep watching my post, and because we're going to be having Denise back. Well, you're in Chicago, but we're going to be having her for the book club. Chi-Town Reading Circle. We'll be having her, and we're going to be talking about that particular book. And
Yeah.
so it's open to the public. So we will be shooting out some information soon. So you guys, register for it. You don't have to be a member of Chicago Public Library. Just register, go on and register. You get the link, and then you can come on. If you're in Chicago, obviously come by, the library. So just want to have that. So now we'll have two books that we had already talked
That's
about.
right. And that's actually going to be a Zoom one. The Backcountry Cover Up, that's going to be a Zoom event.
Oh, it's going to be Zoom. Okay.
It's Zoom.
So for most of us still go in for Zooms too,
Yeah.
anyway, because the library we try to support. So yeah, so we're looking forward to that. It's going to be on December 9th, and it's probably going to be at 2 o'clock because
Yeah.
usually it is at 2 o'clock. So all are welcome, and I will be posting the information pretty soon, probably about next week sometime. I'll have the information. Yeah, so I think Miss Mama Tony says Christmas in Full Bloom, so that might be one of her favorites.
Yeah. Thank you,
Yeah.
Mama Tony.
Okay. So that's good. Mm. Now, how do you deal with when you're writing, and especially as many books as you've written? So when you're starting to write, how do you deal with just random stuff like popping up in your head, those things that want your attention, but you're in the middle of doing something?
That's hard. But you know what? I have this thing about me. I'm so laser focused on stuff. When I started, I've got to finish it. I don't care what time is. Just for an example, the other night, I was so determined to get the arcs out for my medical book. My laser printer wasn't working. I was up till 4:30 in the morning. They didn't have to be done then,
Oh,
but I just insisted on finishing this because I had to get it done. So
yeah, yeah.
that tends to happen. You know what? I just do my best to manage it because with my mom, I never know what's going to happen with her. My mother's
Mhm.
such a rascal. Day to day, there's no telling what she's going to get herself into. So, and I am the emergency phone call. I
Yeah.
call myself her mom now because I'm the mother and she's the kid. So that type of stuff I have to manage. But otherwise, I try to keep everything out of the way. Because I'll tell you this: I don't know how many authors or writers who we have in the group listening. Once we get that mojo and we can really get deep into a book, we do not want to let it go.
Yeah.
So, and when you let it go, it is so hard to get it back. So if I'm in that groove and things are going my way, I try and really stay there and not get out of it until I write the end on a book.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that.
Mhm.
So you just kind of tune those out because I know some writers when
Yes.
they have these different things that come in their head when they're, focusing on the one thing, they're usually writing that stuff down because they're working. Some of them work on multiple projects at the same time.
Right.
So I didn't know if that was one of your things too. When you get something else that's like in your head, you just write it down, or do you just ignore it and say, "Stop messing with me"?
Well, if it's a book idea, I'll take a couple of notes, but I really try and stick to one project
Mhm.
because for me, that is how something will not get done. I think the best way to complete a project is to just focus on that one project. And then if you get a great idea you don't want to forget, just write down like your main
Yeah,
points, but stick to your project because the hardest part is getting it done, getting the book written. That's the
mhm.
hardest part, finishing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Trust me, I know a little bit about that.
Mm.
Um, yeah, that is true, Mama Tony. Yeah, you all are up writing all night long, and we up reading all night long.
Yeah.
That is true. Now, do you have any authors that you consider were like major inspiration for you to start writing in the first place? Like, who are some of your favorite authors?
Well, when I was a young child, Judy Blume and Beverly Cleary were two of my favorites. And
Oh, okay.
was it Francine Francis Pascal who wrote the Sweet Valley High series? I loved the Sweet Valley High with the twin girls in Malibu, California. Do you remember that
Okay.
series?
I know that name. I don't know that series.
Okay, so Sweet Valley High, you probably would know it if you see it. That was huge. But yeah, Beverly Cleary with her Ramona
Yeah.
Quimby series, and then Judy Blume, of course. So, but then when I was sneaky, my mother's Jackie Collins and
Yeah, I know
Danielle
Judy.
Steele, Sidney Sheldon, those were an
Oh,
influence. But the main one is Terry McMillan. She was the one who convinced me, oh, I could do
oh,
this too.
okay.
It was Terry McMillan, by far, because the others just let me know how much I loved books. Terry McMillan let me know that I could write books
Hmm.
too. That's the huge difference. So when I
Okay.
saw her doing
Which
what she was
story, by the
doing,
way?
it was what is his name? Sanaa Lathan was in the movie with Wesley Snipes. I forgot the name of it. I know somebody here knows. It was the one
Uh,
where the woman was dating. He was a construction worker, I believe, in New York.
hmm, hmm. Oh my God, what is the name of that one?
Let me see. Do I have it on my?
Oh, I could see the cover and everything.
No, I have it. I think. Uh, I don't see it on my shelf. I've got it somewhere around
Somebody's
here.
got to know the one with Terry
Somebody.
McMillan.
Yeah,
Uh,
I forgot that. How can I forget? I have no memory at this point in my life. So, but yeah, it was a Terry McMillan.
well,
Disappearing Acts.
you
Thank
just
you.
dropped the book.
Velvet
Okay,
Rope.
yes, that's what
Thank
I.
you so
Yeah,
much.
I remember.
Yeah.
It was so that movie was kind of like a classic though, because you just right away know when you see the two of them, what it is. And I
Yeah.
haven't seen it in such a long time. And I
Yeah.
remember I have that book somewhere, but it just keeps getting put back in a tub or something. But yeah, I liked Terry McMillan. I think, when I started reading like those kind of stories, because I was like a mystery writer. And my
Oh,
sister
okay.
was a romance,
I
she
didn't
read the
know
romance.
that.
And then I was a
Okay.
tomboy, and I was just like, I ain't, he kissed her, and all of that. I used to tease her all the time. I hated it. And then I think I want to say, I say this all the time, but I think it was a Beverly Jenkins book that pulled me over to that side,
Okay.
because I was reading certain things, and she was reading more African American, people. She had started reading that, because she was a big, huge, Harlequin. And I don't know what its name was before, but they used to write the little, they used to have the newspapers,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like back in, they used to have them every week. And I don't know if she got them from the grocery store. I know she didn't have no
Oh,
subscription to them. But then, they
okay.
had the whole story in there. I want to say it was Harlequin, but it could have been something else, but it was something like Harlequin. And I
Mm-hmm.
used to like, oh, I could not stand those papers. I hated it. And now look where I'm at. This is where I'm stuck at right now in
Yeah.
this community.
Mhm.
But I love it. Though, Okay, so let me ask you this question here. What is something you can tell us about Denise Wheatley that we can't Google?
Hmm. Like a hobby?
Whatever you want to tell us.
Okay, I want to think of something good. Uh, well, I'm gonna have to think about that one because I don't want to say anything that's not fun. What about me
What?
not good? I guess because am I boring?
Just
I
tell
mean,
us what it is.
well, you know what? One thing I'll
No,
tell
you
you.
are not that. I'm pretty sure you're not
You know, sometimes I sit back and wish, I'm like, why did I go to cosmetology school? I love to do hair. I love to do makeup. I'm always bothering my friends about doing their hair and makeup. And my mother, she's just like a doll to me. I'm always messing with her. So sometimes I'm like, I should own some type of shop. Now, I'm not going to school for it at this point, but I love cutting hair. So this is one. Okay, here's something. I'm always on YouTube. I love YouTube. So I have learned how to do so many things from YouTube. So I watch a lot of the hair videos, the makeup videos, making little crafts. I learned how to fold my towels in the bathroom, the decorative towels from a YouTube video, and how to put the duvet cover over the duvet. So I love YouTube. But and I am a YouTube true crime junkie. I get so much good stuff from the true
that.
crime community
Yeah.
on YouTube. That is a rabbit hole for me. So you won't be able to Google that, but that's one thing. I love learning about a lot of different things, how to do certain things on YouTube. And then the true crime community there is just amazing.
Well, I think you are not the only one because I am a lifetime member of YouTube University and
There you go.
Google Community
Oh
College.
yeah.
That's what I
Oh
call
yeah.
it. Um,
Yes.
yeah, so I would say so I'm gonna not put you out there. So I'm gonna say this. Probably this is something somebody probably doesn't know about me. And I was talking to somebody and they asked me, this question. So why don't you ask this? And I said, I've asked authors before, like what is the one thing they haven't, that we can't Google about you. So for me, if you ever just randomly caught me at home and you came to my house, there's a very strong possibility I will be wearing Mitch Mac flip flops or Mitch Mac socks.
That is hilarious. That is hilarious.
And let me tell you, so my husband buys me all of these shoes, the flip flops, and everything. So I got a multiple pair. It's no need, but like whatever's there when I get up, it's probably not
Right.
going to be the same one. So I
Yeah.
might have a red one and a blue one, a black one and a green one, or whatever. So that is
That
me.
is
That's
funny.
something you cannot Google about me.
I
And I wear them proudly too. I don't
Oh
care.
yeah, why not? I know one thing I will say. People, I always get these comments. Your hair and makeup is always done. Your hair and makeup. Let me tell you. So since you talked about being at home, when I'm at home, my hair is always in pin curls, and I'm always in a
Oh
bonnet.
my gosh.
I'm always in leisure wear. Like, okay, so I don't wear pajamas. I wear like outfits that I don't wear out anymore. Those become my pajamas. So like I'm walking around in some random
Yeah.
outfit I just don't want from 5 years ago or whatever. And my hair is in pin curls and a bonnet. People just, I do not walk around all the time looking like, with my hair done, makeup on. I don't do that. So I only do it. Look, for people like you,
Yeah.
Midnight, I took the pin curls out, put a little lip, as my father would call it, put a little lip rouge on. So I wouldn't look deep, I wouldn't embarrass myself. But that's another one about me.
Listen, let me tell you one thing about coming to the book bar, honey. We take you as you are. As long as you're giving us good reading and something like that, sharing some wine with us, we all good to go. Listen, let me tell you. But it's funny you should say about the pin curls because I remember those, right? I can't sleep in those things anymore, but that was me at one point. Like I don't didn't even know what rollers were for a whole long because it was always the pin curl. I don't think I can do that right now. I can't do
Yeah.
that right now. But yeah, that is funny. That is funny.
Mhm.
So now, okay, so in your reading, tell the readers, and I know I'm jumping all over the place with you, but I just want them to get a good feel for you too. So I'm going to go back to the reading. In your reading, what is the one thing in a Denise Wheatley book that when the reader gets done reading, they're going to say, oh, that was a Denise Wheatley book?
Mm. This is something fairly new that I'm doing, but I am so enjoying it. You saw it in this book. I've been putting news articles in my book.
Okay.
And that is something I'm really enjoying. So I've started playing with that a little bit more just to give readers another perspective and kind of shift the focus. So I think I'm like, maybe this kind of could become
Okay.
my niche a little bit. So that is one thing. But also I try and I hope it comes across, but I really try and write strong dialogue. I really enjoy writing dialogue. And sometimes I'll sit, here's another side note you won't know about me. As I write, sometimes I'll talk out loud. I'll read dialogue out loud and act like it's a real conversation just to see if it reads properly. Because
Mm,
if it doesn't sound right when you speak it, it
yeah.
won't sound right on paper. So, and with suspense, with thrillers, you want to be quick. And you want to do, sentence structure should be, if you have a couple of long ones, throw a short one in there. When you're writing the action scenes, they should be moving. So that's another thing too. I try and have, the quick dialogue, quick scenes with that action, things like that I hope might resonate, and maybe, people might pair with my name when they read my books.
Okay. Okay. Well, I do know. I do love your characters. I think they are usually unique, especially these ones with the crime ones that I've read. And I noticed, like, I started with the contemporary ones at first, and then I kind of shifted to some of the crime ones. And I thought to myself, like, okay, now she's writing contemporary English. She was writing contemporary. Now she's writing crime. So which one does she like better? But
Mhm.
then when I looked further into you, you all over the spectrum. So you've written some of everything. Now you mentioned it was mentioned too that you did a little paranormal.
Mhm.
So will we see any of that? Do you think you might try like give us a little bit of that?
I could maybe go back to that later. That was novella that I wrote. So, and I really enjoyed it too. That was fun. I
Hmm.
have a sister who's really into like tarot cards and Reiki and all those things. So I hear so much of that. So I think that was kind of came second nature just because I'm exposed to it so much. Um, and actually, I do have a story that I've been thinking about for a series that will be contemporary romance. And I was thinking about adding some of those elements into that one of the books that would be in the series. So it's
Okay.
definitely something I wouldn't take off the table because I think you can do a lot, explore a lot. And I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a lot of magic being added to some of the contemporary romance and these little elements of some paranormal. Have you seen noticed that's kind of getting more popular? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm. More, I've seen a lot of fantasy,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's that whole little kind of little clutch of reading there, that you got fantasy, you got paranormal,
Yeah.
and then you got a little bit of sci-fi,
Hmm.
kind of already wrapped up. And you depending on the real true storyline, it could be pinch off over here, and over here, and over here. But it's like a whole
Right.
bucket of stuff. I think with fantasy though, I don't know, maybe that's kind of easier because you just take a regular person and give them some powers or
Hmm.
something. But then
Yeah.
if they're being life altering things, then you got to put it in the sci-fi kind of thing like that.
Right.
um and then I think with your psychological thrillers, you could add some of those elements in there too.
Hmm.
That would be right
Yeah.
up alley there. Now when you ventured off into some of these things, would you write up under another name, or would you keep your whole platform as Denise and Wheatley?
I would keep my platform as Denise and Wheatley.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So, which means I
Okay.
better be careful. I can't get too off the charts because then people say, "What is she doing?"
Mhm. Why not? Like you said, like we said before, it's a reader for every book.
Right. That's so
It
true.
may not be for everybody, but there's a reader for every book. So
Right.
if you don't write it, somebody else will. So you know what I mean. I
Yeah.
got some authors now that I read. They started as one thing, and now they just way out here, and I'm trying to figure it all out. But I'm still rocking with them. So you
Right.
know what I mean. They ain't threw
Yeah.
me off the bus yet.
Yeah.
They ain't
Yeah.
threw me off the bus yet. Okay, well, so I this has been fun. You gotta come back. You have got to come back.
Yes.
Yeah, this is fun. So I want to dive into some more because I think it's been a really interesting chat. And when I looked into like who really is Denise, I'm like, you got little layers on you. So now you got me even more intrigued.
Mhm.
Again, I didn't want to say too much about this, but I got a whole mouthful to talk about with this book here. But I'm gonna wait till a couple more people get it up under their belt, and then we can go. We can have another little chat or something like that, maybe online. I'll just start a random chat or whatever, because when I tell you, I couldn't figure it out, and then you
Good.
really
I love that.
threw me for a loop. Yeah. But now, if you could just take a moment too to tell everybody like where they can find you, what you got coming up next, where's the next, Denise Wheatley sighting at?
So I'm all over social media. Denise Wheatley writer on Instagram. I'm super active across social media. So I always try and
Mhm.
respond to everybody and interact and whatnot. So Denise underscore Wheatley underscore writer on Instagram, Threads. I'm on Threads now. And then everywhere else, Facebook, Twitter, just Denise Wheatley on those other platforms. And
Okay.
I'm putting some things together for next year. I've got a good friend, one of my sorority sisters, who owns a craft store. I don't know if you know about this store. It is in Beverly, and it's a craft store. She sells all types of yarn and different types of crafts. She's been all in the news. I'm talking about this because I might be doing a workshop with her, because she has like these readers and book clubs there as well. And they knit, they'll talk about books. It is the cutest thing. So I might be doing something with her. I'm going to
Oh,
see
well,
her.
I'm a
So yeah. So
okay. All right. That's different. I like that.
yeah. So we're in talks of doing something together. As you stated earlier, I'll be with the Chicago Public Library. I see Loretta is here. So December 9th, we'll be talking about Backcountry Cover Up, which, by the way, is a Christmas book. It doesn't have a Christmas title, but it's a Christmas book. So I'm excited about that. And then for next year, my agents and I are putting the schedule together to see where I'll be. I got my new banner. I'm going to post that soon, 'cause I'm so excited about my new banner. So yeah, I'm getting all my stuff ready, ordering my supplies
Okay.
and whatnot to get out so I can meet some readers. I've had to be careful with my mom and COVID and taking care of her.
Sure.
But we were at the Beverly Jenkins event, so had a
Mhm.
chance to come out and meet a lot of people there. Oh, and we met in person finally. I have to tell everybody, how many hugs did we share?
I
Midnight.
know. I mean, she's probably gonna think. I said to myself, y'all, I could not stop hugging her. Like it's been like years that we've been, at least a few years that we've been
Yeah,
online or whatever. And then I think it was only this year that I found out that you lived in Chicago, and I'm like, what? This is crazy. And so when you told me you were going to be at Miss Bev's thing, I mean, y'all, I was crazy. I was fangirling, but then I was just like so humbled that meet her finally, and I must have hugged you about 20 million times. I just couldn't stop hugging. I was like, she's gonna think I'm weird.
no, I thought you were absolutely one. It just felt like family. It
Yeah,
felt
I
like
know.
family. No, what was
That
funny?
was
So remember, Miss Bev had us get up and introduce ourselves. Midnight was in the last row in the room, and I just see this wave, and then I started. Miss Bev was probably like, "Would you sit down?" Because I'm just, waving and talking to everybody like it's my event. But no, that was so nice meeting you in person. We got a chance to meet a bunch of other people too. That was fun. That was a fun day.
yes, yes. Yeah, it was a really fun day. Hey
Mhm.
there, Miss Natasha Frazier. Listen, y'all,
Yes,
she's got a
Natasha.
release today too, the missing link. And if you guys, if you have been following that, y'all know that this story right here, y'all got to get it because what is it? Layla, I think it is. Is it? Oh no, what is? I'm hoping I'm not saying the name wrong. But anyway, the third sister in that one, she has been like, I really want to know what's up with her. So y'all got to get this book. If you haven't read the other ones, get them. But if not, still read this one. It is going to be great. So congratulations, and happy release day to you, Miss Natasha Frazier.
Happy
Cool, cool,
release day,
cool.
Natasha. We're release day twins.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that is true. I mean, there was a lot of stuff popping
It
today.
was, yeah.
I know. I couldn't keep up. And
Yeah.
guys, if you just now tuning in, today is release day for Denise Wheatley. She's got a homicide at Vincent Vineyards. Today is releasing today, and that was what our conversation was about. So happy release day to you and congratulations. She has a copy of that right there. So you guys go out and get that. This really is a great story if you like mysteries and suspense. Normally we think we all good, y'all readers. We think we got it down pat, but I'm telling you, this one is twisted all up. And if you figure it out before the end of the book, let me know how you did it because I couldn't.
Yeah, I love that.
So take that. Oh, and here's another one. Manswell is out. Peterson is out there too, guys. Here's another person that you want to keep on your Rolodex for your shelf. Manswell, thank you for joining us today. Check him out. Follow him. He's doing some amazing things out there. So check him out. Thank you for joining us tonight. And Loretta, hey,
Thank you,
yes,
Greta.
she is. She is. We're gonna be with Loretta and all the rest of us. She's part of my book club, Chi-Town Reading Circle. We're gonna be with Denise again on December 9th. So stay tuned for that. Yes, here they are. They're telling you congratulations,
Thank
congratulations.
you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for that. Yeah, guys, use this platform to to get the word out on your books. I mean, because it's all about sharing, right?
Yes.
Sharing is caring. And I think one of the things for me too is sometimes I don't always I miss social media posts and I don't know what's going on, but tag me in it, so that I can share too. Oh, that'll be great. Please make sure you continue to post so we know when you're here, where you at, so we can come support. That'll be good seeing you. So yeah, keep us posted on that. I well, you know what, Loretta, me either, but I think this one, I don't know, compared to Backcountry Cover Up and the Vineyard, the Vincent Vineyard one, I this one was way twisted. This is way twisted. So yeah, but they're both good. I mean, I think Denise does a good job with the true crimes. I think you do a good job with that.
Thank you.
So yeah, so make sure you guys follow her, and be sure to pick up this book. I'm telling you, this is some good stuff right here. So please pick this book up, and when you're done, please just give her a hug and write a review, and
Thank you.
tell her what you feel about it. And then once you guys get it up under the belt, like I might start like a thread to figure this out because this one was really intriguing to me because I couldn't figure it out. I usually can't figure it out, but I couldn't. So, Denise, give us some last words. Close us out.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun. I love chatting. Thank you so much to everybody who came and stopped by. I hope you got to know a little bit more about me and my books. I appreciate your support. I'll tell you, when I was writing I Wish I Never Met You, I started that book in 2000. And as I was writing it, I said to myself, if one person buys my book and reads it, just one person, and enjoys it, even, then my wish will be met. Just one. I mean, because as writers, and I'm sure some of the writers can attest to this, we're honored when people buy our books because everybody's money is hard earned, and there are so many books out here to choose from. So knowing that somebody is choosing to read our books, people are enjoying. Because I will tell you, really, when I'm writing, I really do give it everything I've got. So that's why I don't get mad if somebody doesn't like my books. I mean, it's subjective. I get it. Everybody's not gonna like it, but I know I just gave it everything I had in that moment. I did my absolute best. So I'm really appreciative. I don't take it for granted. I don't take you for granted, the supporters. It means the world to me, really, because this is my passion and dream. So just to be here is still unreal. When I go into the store and see my book on the shelf, because I never thought I'd be there. I remember being that kid, the Jewel on 95th and Stony Island. You remember, I don't know if did you ever go to that Jewel?
Oh my God, yes,
And
yes,
look at the
yes.
books as a kid? Because I'm that person. I go in the grocery store. I love seeing the books in the grocery store. Other people, I don't know if they think that's not good. I love it. So any store, Walgreens, I always go and look at the books because since I was a kid, I love doing that. So I never imagined, that I would have this. So I'm just overwhelmed, grateful, just very thankful. And I hope I can just keep kicking them out. That's my point. Look at Ola Lawson. Thank you. That is so fantastic.
And
She said, I don't need one better. I got 7. Go ahead.
Yeah, I said no. Manuel says he definitely connect. He said his wife loves you.
Oh, thank you.
Um, yep. And here we got yeah. True that. You know what, Denise, like I said, for us as readers, much love to you, all of you all, really, because I say this a lot because I know how I am sometimes, but readers can be a little high strung. And so for you guys to put yourselves before us is got to be an amazing thing. And I don't count it as I don't discount it because it's a hard sell, to put yourself out there in front of that. So we appreciate everything that you do. You keep writing, we will keep reading.
Thank
So
you. Thank you so
yeah.
much.
Yeah, and I gotta give out shout out to the Chi-Town, writers. We love it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Gotta love our Chi-Town writers.
Okay, wait, let me see. She says, "Oh my goodness, that see, I knew I was gonna miss some. Thank you, Mama Tony. So we had this is three. Yeah, I had Reese, Denise, Natasha. We had Sherelle Green today released there. Guys, Jacqueline Thomas, Novia Bryant. So those are two that I didn't have on there. So today was a really great day for readers, and I am so super excited that I get a chance to expend it at least one of them. I don't get a chance to do that much. So I am so super excited that I got a chance to spend your release day with
Thank you.
you. Thank you very much for that. It was such an honor. Well, guys, listen, we're going to close this out. Have a good rest of your evening. Be safe always, and always, 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 without fail, be kind. So we'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.